The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Monday, April 14th, and today is it's National Gardening Day, you guys.
Oh, perfect.
Shout out to all the hoes out there. It's also National Dolphin Day. I love dolphins.
Favorite animal.
Yeah. Anyone see that beached whale that came up? That was pretty sad. It's also Look Up at the Sky Day.
Yeah. Hopefully you're not in Ukraine.
It's a bird. Oh, man. Ouch. It's also National Pecan Day.
Butter Pecan Ricans.
Oh, you're going to love this one. It's National Ex-Spouses Day.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Shout out to the exes.
And it's also National Pan-American Day, you guys.
Hell yeah.
Yes. And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from whatever platform you are joining us from. And we are going to kick this off with the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte. The one, the zaddy, the daddy, the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte.
Oh, yeah, Jason.
Yes.
I have a call to action from the Black Los Angeles Cannabis Council. And this Wednesday, Black LA equity operators are holding a rally on the steps of Los Angeles City Hall. I was hoping that my good friend Alfred Terranago, aka DJ Quest Coast, he is one of the owners over at Spaceflight. He was trying to get him to join me, but he is opening the shop and couldn't get away. Either way, these business owners are calling for action after 7 years of waiting on bureaucratic delays, struggling to survive while being forced to watch the trappers thrive. Equity operators that are still around in Los Angeles are drowning in debt and systematically discriminated against, despite LA's equity program and their promise to repair these issues. The Black Cannabis Council is fed up with the city's broken promises and finally taking action. Blacks members say that they are no longer waiting for LA's Department of Cannabis Regulation to follow through, and they're taking the fight public. Cannabis Equity and Market Stabilization Act, which will address many of their gripes, is currently sitting on council member Imelda Padilla's desk, awaiting her signature. Wednesday's rally is to bring awareness to the act, and they want Los Angelinos to reach out to their own city council reps and demand that they vote yes for the measure. Here's what's in it. Retroactive tax credits for businesses hurt by years of the city's delays, an equitable tiered tax structure that levels the playing field, tangible equity program reform, not just the bullshit the hopey changey shit that they've been given over the years. Reinstated enforcement against illegal shops, accountability for landlords who enable the underground market. Wink, wink. Who's that? And an emotional Instagram post featuring a who's who of Black equity operators. They asked for cannabis community support out here in Los Angeles. It was featuring my man Quest, Whitney Beatty, Madison Shockley, Kika Keith, Ishman Baber, Robin McSweeney, Asia Allen Crosswell, Evelyn and Brandon Brinson, and they're all calling out for everybody who believes in equity at one point or the other, who believes in the movement to join in on Wednesday morning, 200 North Spring Street at the City Hall steps to rally for change. Here's what the caption read on their Instagram post. For 7 years, we've been ignored. Now we're done waiting. On Wednesday, April 16th, 2025, we rally on the steps of LA City Hall. Black cannabis operators in LA were promised equity. Instead, we got delays, debt, discrimination, while illegal shops flourish and our doors close. This isn't just about weed. It's about justice, about repairing harm, and it's about survival. Cannabis equity and market stabilization motion gives us a path forward. This is not a handout. It's a chance to finally make the social equity program mean something. And yes, it'll help LA's budget too, because more legal sales equals more tax revenue. Everybody wins. If you believe in equity, you need to be there. If you believe in Black-owned businesses, you need to be there. If you've ever said you support the culture, you need to show up for the people who built it. And during 420 week, shop Black, shop legal, support social equity. Now, I know I'll be feeling a whole lot of FOMO this week because I'll be in New York as I fly out this evening. But if you are in LA, please stand up for these folks. Social equity. I was out there marching on the ground with a lot of these operators back in 2016. 2017, finally, this stuff started to finally come together. And what we've seen social equity devolve into is nothing like these promises. They were talking about all this generational wealth bullshit, and the people that are still in the game, still trying to do the right thing, they're running on fumes, right? So this measure is supposed to help out with a lot of that stuff. Just awaiting Congress member Padilla's signature. And even if you can't be there, see if you can head out to their page at BLACC Unity on Instagram and just repost that shit, man. Big love to everybody involved. I know you guys are gonna turn it the fuck out. I'll be watching from afar out in New York, and that's it for today. All right, I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News. Here you guys for it too.
Man. It sounds like it's
imagine Beth is frozen right now because I'd love to hear her take on this one too.
Well, we can still hear her, can we? Jenny Beth?
I don't think so.
Oh man,
she's fully frozen.
Wow.
No, she's frozen.
Wow, she's Elsa.
Like Elsa and Anna.
Man, that's unfortunate. Well, I mean, I think this is fantastic that this is happening. I mean, something definitely has to change in regards with how social equity has been managed and operated within the city and county of Los Angeles. And so I applaud this effort. I know I saw some posts over the weekend. I saw that the Catalyst is going to be in attendance as well, and is encouraging everyone to roll up out there. And so we definitely want to encourage everyone to roll out there, do their part, make your voices heard, and demand change from these legislators, these board of supervisors, members in the city of Los Angeles. That something definitely needs to change, and this sounds like this bill that they are proposing is a good step in the right direction. We just need to get the votes in place to make it pass. Am I right on that, Rico?
Yeah. They need the votes. I was hoping that Quest could go a little deeper on what's in the bill and everything, but apparently it's just waiting on signatures over there. They need the people's help and support to blow this shit up. You know, the social equity movement in LA is just lost steam, man. Like everybody's hurting, not just social equity operators. So there hasn't really been anything, man. Jason, back in 2016, 2017, there would be literally hundreds of people at every one of those meetings that we would be at.
Yep.
And I don't hear shit.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I don't know the last time I even heard of any rallies or anything like that. But I love to see the folks that have been through it that are still around. They must turn up the energy to do some shit like this. And if you can support it, man, show some love.
How about now?
Oh, there she is. She's back.
There we go.
Oh, look at that. Right in time, Jenny Beth.
She needed a little restart.
Just in time to shit on the DCR, because 90% of the DCR does not give a shit about social equity. They give a shit, and I'm looking at you. You know what? Fuck it. Hey, Dr. B, I'm looking at you. My applicants that I worked with who are getting out of predatory contracts, who are absolutely fucked and disserviced by the DCR, reached out and begged for conversations with her, begged to have conversations and have their cases heard. They, complained about the fact that they were completely ripped off. Somebody stole their entire all their grant money, ran away with it. That man is now Kareem Webb, who is the head of the airport commission in LA. So maybe pay attention to where your money's going, because if he stole from those applicants in a program called the Fourth Movement, where he made them essentially have the Hunger Games of the opportunity to be a Black equity operator in LA, right before opening two people, Robin and Asia. Maybe
shout out to dope sugar.
Yeah, well, hang on. Let me get most of my shit off, because not shout out to everything.
Oh, boy. Get it, girl.
That's the dispensary.
I understand that's the dispensary. Listen, I understand that's the dispensary now, but like the way all that and hope shit worked, there wasn't no hope in that fucking movement. So, and knowing some of the inner workings of that, I'm not gonna put everybody fully on blast, but just so we're clear, I'll tell you off screen, Rico, as soon as we're on our first commercial break.
Oh boy.
But, Dr. B, you guys dropped the ball and did not give a baker's flying fuck about these folks. Shout out to Ethan Spalding, because Ethan did. Ethan was the only one who was there. I called the fucking DCR. I don't call the DCR. I call people directly at the DCR, because if you call the DCR, you get somebody on the phone who half the time doesn't even understand if you're a social equity applicant or not, because they're not even capable of reading through your fucking record. So, I completely throw this on the DCR for the failure of these people.
Straight up.
I wish Yarrow was here. Yarrow should be joining us any moment. I would love to hear his take on this. But in the meantime, Jesse.
I'll tell you my take.
Oh, there you are. Look at that.
As a member of the loose but emotionally connected COA board, the people who are doing this, Alfred, Kika, Madison, I consider them friends, good people, and I think we need to really listen strongly to their voices, because what they're doing is trying to get some meaningful change, and otherwise this whole thing is just an exercise in futility. And so I didn't say much, because I ain't got much to add other than to compliment Rico for highlighting this today. There's real issues, and the promise of the opportunity that regulated cannabis was going to be are unfulfilled. And if we can't fix that, then what are we doing here? And that retroactive tax relief, I think, is just a beautiful tool. Why not, right? I mean, just why not? What is wrong with that? It's money that these businesses aren't likely going to be able to pay if they can't stay solvent anyway. So why not let the government get the benefit of appearing magnanimous and acknowledging that they didn't get it right, and they haven't made the adjustments necessary to get it right, and they haven't made them quick enough.
Well, they're hemorrhaging cash, and it's a lot of this money that was supposed to go to equity and supposed to go to these programs went to salary increases. So that's not lost on anybody. And I spent a long time on the phone with Kika, and I agree with what she's doing. I think this is great. And there are other things coming that are a little more direct, stern action. This is kind of like a please listen to us, and then it's important. So I don't know. I think that it's very frustrating to see what's happening to operators throughout the state. But in LA, I've spent a long time working directly with exclusively social equity operators. So I've seen the worst of the worst happening to them. And it's just like, it's really frustrating. And I'll go ahead and just throw out there that my contract wasn't renewed because I'm the only one that was calling and fighting for them. I'm also probably the only coach at the time that got somebody actually licensed and had more of my applicants coming out of abandonment and getting licensed. So I guess it's a problem for me to be there to support them. So cool, DCR, cool.
Jenny Beth, it's been a while since I personally have been on the ground out there. You know, it's been COVID hit, got a job. I've been stuck in my dungeon over here. What do you think attributes to a lot of the just the loss of steam in social equity? We used to have folks like reaching out and speaking out against a bunch of shit like this, but I feel a lot since Cat Packer left. Like, I haven't really heard much from a community really coming together like this.
Well, I mean, these problems existed when Kat was there too. No offense to Kat.
Oh, no, I know. I'm just saying, like since he's been gone, I really haven't heard like much from the community. Like, over the last 3 years or so.
I mean, people get tired when you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. Nobody listens and nothing changes, and they're just throwing more things at you. Like, there's something about having to kick the same ass that you need to be kissing sometimes. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, when nothing's changing, then.
Very, very fair. Very, very fair. So ultimately, like I said, I hope everyone shows up and turns up and turns out for this event on Wednesday. And we are going to roll into our first commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, you know? But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade. And in a GMP certified facility, so you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where am I even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Oh man, and we are back, you guys.
Up next is the highest Republican in every room. He smokes the best weed in the world, and he stands up for justice, truthiness, and whatever he read on Twitter last. Jason Beck, what do you have up for us, my man? Happy Monday.
Oh yeah, happy Monday, everybody. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day today. Oh man, did that not work? It just. Oh, there we go. Now it's working. Okay, all right, fair enough. It's tripping me out over here.
Jason's got to make sure he claps for himself. You know?
No, I don't need it, but I just wanted to make sure that it's working because it just worked to play the commercial, and so and then I thought I hit the button. I guess I didn't push it all the way or something. You know what I mean? Whatever. But I have two stories today. Both of them are coming out of Florida, you guys. So, I guess I'm going to be Florida man all day for you guys. But this is a big one because donors gave big to DeSantis' marijuana campaign after getting $10 million from Hope, Florida, you guys. That's right. Weeks after the DeSantis administration steered $10 million from the legal Medicaid settlement to a charity spearheaded by the First Lady, the Hope Florida Foundation, they gave $5 million apiece to two separate organizations. They gave millions to a political committee waging an anti-marijuana campaign championed by the governor. The payments laid out the campaign finance records and documented released to the Times-Herald by the foundation on Friday raised questions about whether DeSantis' administration diverted Medicaid dollars through Casey DeSantis' key initiative to a political campaign, you guys. The $10 million deriving from a settlement with Centrine, the state's largest Medicaid contractor, was split evenly between Secure Florida's Future, run by the Florida Chamber of Commerce, and Save Our Society from Drugs, a drug prevention nonprofit. The committees sent $8.5 million that October to Keep Florida Clean, a political committee controlled by Ron DeSantis' then Chief of Staff James Altheimer, and the committee was created to defeat defeat Amendment 3, the failed ballot initiative that tried to legalize adult use marijuana. The settlement with Centene, which some Florida Republicans have said may have been illegal, was signed on September 27th. The grant proposals from Secure Florida's Future and Save Our Society from Drugs were submitted to the Hope Florida Foundation on October 13th and October 18th, respectively. And the $5 million payments from the foundation to those organizations were made the same month, according to an attorney representing the charity. Campaign finance records show that between October and December, Keep Florida Clean diverted $10.5 million to the Republican Party of Florida, which campaigned against Amendment 3. Another $1.1 million went from the committee to the Florida Freedom Fund, which is controlled by Ron DeSantis. Oldtimer is also a chairperson of the Florida Freedom Fund, and it's not clear how much of the $10 million Centene paid to the Hope Florida Foundation ended up in the bank accounts of either the Republican Party of Florida or the Florida Freedom Fund, and it is difficult, if not impossible, to track how dollars are spent as they move between political committees. The flow of money from the charity to big dollar contributors to the governor's political causes is already stirring debate in Florida's capital, where House Republicans are digging into how DeSantis' administration is spending public money, and Republicans have said that the administration may have broken the law by steering millions of dollars of the Hope Florida Foundation from Centene, which entered into talks with the Agency for Healthcare Administration after it was overpaid for Medicaid services. DeSantis on Thursday said the $67 million settlement, of which $10 million went to the charity, was 100% appropriate and part of a good deal the state negotiated with Centene. State Representative Alex Andrade, a Pensacola Republican who has been looking into the funding and operations of Hope Florida and its charity, said in a statement on Friday that the use of the $10 million in quotes looks like criminal fraud by some of those involved, he says. In an additional quote, "The questions I now have are, what did Governor DeSantis know? What did James Oldtimer know? And who on earth thought this was legal, moral, or ethical?" he said. Florida House Republicans on Friday sent letters to the DeSantis administration demanding text messages and other records about a variety of state programs, including Hope Florida and its foundation. And Speaker Daniel Perez, a Miami Republican, said on former Republican U.S. Representative Matt Gaetz show on Friday night that the digging continues, end quote. The foundation has not turned over records about its structure, ethics, or oversight and documents that are required under state law. In a quote says, "I think people are interested in knowing where the money went, how it got there, and why it got there, and how it was used," Perez said. Jeff Aaron, who became a lawyer for the Hope Florida Foundation this month, said the money paid to the foundation by Centene was not sent to political committees, and in a quote says, "I remain confident nothing was illegal and it's not a political organization," he said. Secure Florida's Future, the organization overseen by the Florida Chamber of Commerce. A spokesperson for DeSantis referred comment to his political committee. A spokesperson for DeSantis' Florida Freedom Fund said in a quote, "Absolutely false that any of these $10 million ended up in the governor's political committee or the effort to fight Amendment 3. A spokesperson for Centene said the company, in quotes, had no part in or knowledge of any decision by the Hope Florida Foundation regarding the subsequent use of any foundation funds, and the spokesperson said its donation to the foundation was directed by the Agency for Healthcare Administration and approved by the Attorney General's office. A spokesperson for Altenheimer, who's DeSantis appointed Attorney General this year, did not immediately respond to a request for comment, and Hope Florida is the First Lady's signature political initiative aiming to get Floridians off government assistance, including Medicaid, by connecting people receiving government benefits with churches and nonprofits. The Hope Florida Foundation is a charity created to financially help the Department of Children and Families carry out the program, and the foundation sent the $5 million payments to the two dark money 501c4 organizations after they submitted grant proposals. The proposals, which were released by by Aaron do not detail how the money would be spent. And in a quote, they say, these funds would be instrumental in developing and implementing strategies that directly address the substance use crisis facing our communities. Amy Rosenhan, executive director of Save Our Society from Drugs, wrote in the October 18th grant proposal, and the organization board chairperson didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Mark Wilson, CEO of Florida Chamber of Commerce and its political committee, wrote in an October 13th grant proposal that the money would, in quotes, raise awareness of Hope Florida's efforts within the private sector, utilizing a data-centric approach, and to recruit business community partners to advance the necessary cause. A spokesperson for the chamber did not address whether the money received from the Hope Florida Foundation was sent to keep Florida clean. And in a quote, the grant received from the Hope Florida Foundation is already making Florida better, safer, and more prosperous, and will for years to come, Wilson said in the statement. If the money did go to political causes, the contributions could jeopardize the Hope Florida Foundation's nonprofit status, and the probation of nonprofit political contributions gained wide attention 9 years ago when Donald Trump paid $2,500 penalty to the IRS and refunded his nonprofit foundation the $25,000 it gave to Pam Bondi's reelection campaign for Florida Attorney General. A charity such as the Hope Florida Foundation can make political contributions to fight a ballot initiative, but it cannot be a substantial part of the charity's activity, said Shayna Ports, senior legal counsel for the campaign finance watchdog Campaign Legal Center. And if the charity violates those rules, it could lose its tax-exempt status, Ports said, you guys. Well, sounds like one big old shitstorm tornado going on in Florida, or maybe should we call it a hurricane, but I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
In a different universe, I would say that this would disappear quickly, and probably be swept in the rug.
It doesn't sound like it's disappearing anytime quickly, but I do find it super interesting that what's the guy's Utica or whatever his last name is now the Attorney General.
Yeah, I would say, like I said, in a different universe, I would say so. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he went against Trump on this whole shit means King Petty coming for that ass.
He may get doged.
Looks like karma might be a bitch for Ron DeSantis on this one.
It's very, very possible, bro. It's very possible.
Pam Bondi was on your side, bro, but
oh man.
Shoes on the other foot.
What do you think about this? You think there was some
with 3-inch lifts in that motherfucker too?
Some. I think there was some fraud going on with this. I think, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think so. It reeks of that.
You know, dude, the whole thing was shady from the beginning when they leaked those WhatsApp messages and everything. Like, it was a shit show from the jump. Like they knew that this whole fucking campaign was dirty, but when you're going against Trulieve, you know, it's kind of hard to find too many people for either side here. You know,
I feel you. I feel you, bro. It's one big shit show going on over there, man. And just, you know, Yarrow, are you still with us?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's interesting to me is the dollar figures, right? This company paid $10 million less than it owed, and that was the exact amount that was given to these charities.
Yeah,
so if
right.
They were divergent numbers, I wouldn't think that this would stink so bad. But this really looks like it stinks bad. I just think it's awesome to see the Republican Party eating itself. And we'll see whether it's true hypocrisy or selective hypocrisy, whether this is, in fact, a focus for Elon and the efficiency crew, or whether they decide to look over this because it'll cannibalize the party. I've always been a vocal critic of DeSantis, and he's never given me a lack of material. And the fact that the people in his party are complaining about the lack of transparency, coupled with the matching dollar figures, it just doesn't look good. And I'd be very, very surprised if, it wasn't totally what it appears to be. But I'd also be very surprised if DeSantis is ever held accountable in any way. They're going to blame it on attorneys who did the wrong thing, advice of counsel, defense.
Yep.
Oh,
Passing the buck.
very hands off. So I think it's going to be scandalous, but I don't think it's the end of his career, unfortunately.
Jason, what do you think? You kind of cape for DeSantis a lot.
I think there's definitely some fraud going on. You know what I mean? I definitely think there's some shadiness happening in McGon, and what I would say would be a misappropriation of funds, or maybe even possibly I could go as far as say some illegal impropriety in regards with how these dollars were spent. I do find it super interesting that at the end, the campaign person says a charity such as Hope Florida Foundation can make political contributions to fight a ballot initiative, but it cannot be a substantial part of the charity's activity. And that's from Shayna Ports, who's the senior legal counsel for the Campaign Watchdog Campaign Legal Center. And so I do find that super interesting, because they're saying that they can participate, but they can't be a substantial part of the overall activity. And so like I don't know how you necessarily define that legally. I find that super interesting, and I'm sure that there is going to be more on this story, and we're going to make sure that we follow it along over here at High at 9 News with all the latest developments as this hurricane blows over Tallahassee.
Yeah, I mean, well, part of how you delineate that is, Jason, is your charity distinction, right? Are you a 501c3 or are you a 501c4?
They're a 501c4.
Okay.
The Hope Charity is a 501c4.
And there is a lobbying component, but it depends on, how much of that is filtered over. And at the end of the day, who gets those funds and how those funds are appropriated. So I think there's a reason why you have to make disclosures. So
I feel like if they wanted to do this, they could have put it into like created some other super PAC to put it into, and just created messaging in regards to about their opinions on it. And I think that would have been a much safer use of funds for them than doing it in the manner that they did with this. But
I mean, that's essentially a straw purchase to do what they've already done.
Saying.
You're saying what you're saying is they should have covered their ass a little better.
Yeah, they could have done. The Hope Charity Foundation could have just done their own super PAC, created their own independent messaging on the topic, and just left it at that. So then that way they could have had their voices heard in regards to their position on the issue, and I think that would have been 100% legal in regards with all of this. But it doesn't sound like that's
maybe not 100% ethical, but a little would have appeared more legal.
Yeah. Would have gave us one less story to talk about today, Jenny Beth. I'll tell you that much if they would have done it that way.
Oh boy, Jason.
Any final thoughts on this, Jesse, before we move on?
I'm trying to catch the actual story. I mean, didn't it say that Medicaid money was given to these guys? And
so Centrine,
DeSantis.
So Centrine is who represents the Medicaid funds in this story. Centrine is a group that has the Medicaid grant for Floridians.
That's a problem.
Right, so it was Medicaid money that got passed around.
A portion of the money, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, it's that's what I'm saying, bro. This is crazy.
Unfortunately, Yarrow mentioned, Doge getting involved. This is a state issue, not a national issue. So it's not.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Is Medicaid a state issue?
Well, no, Medicaid isn't, but how it's going around in Florida.
But Centrine is a state. They're not.
Yeah,
Centrine's not.
I don't know. I'm just raising a question as to how that gets. How Doge gets involved, because I haven't seen Doge get involved in any state things like this.
Have you seen him get involved in any Medicaid things?
Yes, but not on the state level. But not on the state level.
Right.
So no. In the same way of this, I haven't seen that. So it would be interesting to see if this is something that they can get involved in and do get involved with, because I think there's things going on here in Washington that are very similar to this. That I would love to see Doge get involved with, but they're not as well. So,
and when you say Washington, you're referring to Washington State.
Washington State, where I live. So there's a bunch of things that are very similar to this, where there's federal money being passed around in the state and there's big, huge problems, but Doge hasn't been able to dive into that yet. So I would love for them to open this can of worms and start attacking states. That would be awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Man, that would be the best if they ultimately do that. But time will tell, and we will see. And on that, we are going to keep this train rolling, and we are going to roll right into Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's the founder of Kind Cannabis, a business that helps you with all of your compliance needs this way and that way, and make sure that you don't have your business go down the other way. She's also the founder of Justice Served, a 501c3 that helps justice impaired individuals get their lives back on track. And here today with our third story of the day is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
Oh boy. I'm trying to pull it up, Jason. We know I have connection issues. Let's see if I can pull it up this way and you can still see me. Let me know. Can you still see me now?
We see you. We see you.
Great.
We see you, Jenny.
Perfect. Then I'm going to pull it up from here, and this should make my life easier.
Pull it up. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean?
Get it, girl.
I'm on it. Sorry, guys. We'll have better Wi-Fi soon. You know, maybe Trump can help me out, and I can have really, really great, you know, hugely great Wi-Fi. Hugely great Wi-Fi. You know, doing the best here. All right, so there's been I'll just summarize this for you guys, because Jason likes to tell us how Missouri's doing everything right, and this is amazing.
They are.
And Missouri, from a financial standpoint, is doing pretty good, right? However, they just discovered that 62,000 more products should have been pulled off the shelves because they contained a THC concentrate the state team deems a potential threat to health and safety. If you remember back, we discussed this Robertsville-based Delta Extraction Company. Well, Midwest Magic, all those guys, they put that oil that was created by products that were found from outside the regulated state-sponsored system into more products than they had initially thought. And that brings a lot of things up to my attention. And one of those is the timeline with which we do these recalls. So why does it take so long? They found out that this guy was doing a bunch of shady shit. The guy had come in, if you guys recall, the last time we reported on this, the dude was not eligible to even be badged to work in a facility in Missouri. So they brought him in as a consultant, weren't having his employees sign in on timesheets. I believe he was coming from Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he definitely was coming from Oklahoma. So dude was doing a bunch of shady stuff, bringing some products in that were not Missouri state products, putting them into vape cartridges. The oils were then pulled from the shelves in Missouri stores. And now they're saying there's 62,000 more products that should have been pulled before. So one, I'm kind of shaking my head at the fact why everything that came out of this facility wasn't immediately put on quarantine, wasn't immediately, we call it red taped in California, which is an embargo, which basically means that product sits there. I don't care if it's at a retail, I don't care if it's at a distro, I don't care if it's still at the facility. Everything, like, it's like, you know, when the safety whistle at the manufacturing facility blows and everybody stops, puts their hands up, and everything is put into a corner, and you don't look at it, breathe on it too hard, or dare sell it to anybody. So I'm unsure why everything that came out of this facility was not immediately embargoed, because it seems like very clear to me from the initial article months ago that everything that came out of this facility was produced by this gentleman. So this is an interesting story. It's going to definitely negatively impact retailers. It's going to negatively impact consumers in Missouri, because if you don't know what you're getting through a regulated system, then what is the point in buying things from a regulated system? We could have brought your trappy oil outside from the dude on the corner or homie at the smoke shop. So I'll throw it back to you guys. I'm sure I'll have more to say on this, but I think this is another failure of the system to appropriately quarantine and protect consumer safety. And, you know, obviously diversion is an issue, but as is inversion. And that's what this is.
Who came up with that word, inversion?
Who came up with that word?
Somebody
It's been a word.
upside down.
I know. Yeah, exactly, Jesse. It means upside down. I mean, I have to agree with you on this, Jenny. I mean, yeah, this stuff should have been quarantined immediately. I don't know what the big delay was. And they're not giving any information as to why, as a reason for any type of delay on quarantining this product?
No, I didn't see any. I'll go back through the article, but I didn't personally see any. I mean, there's not an explanation for that, Jason. I don't think that there's a good reason. Like, you guys knew what this jackass was pulling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of immediately stopping it and shutting it down, you're like, well, we know that these for sure are not right, but let everything else just continue to skirt. I think that they just didn't do a wide enough sweep.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, honestly, everything from that facility should have been put on hold.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you don't just quarantine part of the facility.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I agree with you on that. There's definitely something interesting going on. They were definitely like, oh, you know what? Just keep on selling it. We gotta pay rent this month. Just keep selling it. We'll figure it out later. We can apologize. We can apologize afterwards.
Yeah,
I wonder,
and that's unfortunate because it's been months since that first article came out, so I'm sure they have sold.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You got any thoughts on this, Jess? Go ahead, Yarrow, please.
Well, what's always challenging for me is the dichotomy between the examples we share on this show of zealous over-enforcement and reckless under-enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that those two seem to coexist with multiple cannabis regulatory agencies across multiple states. It's hard for me to understand, like, because they're not always tight-ass ball breaking, I-dotting, T-crossing, and then they're also, like, I don't understand it. Sometimes they're just over the top. I mean, I've heard of people as recently as the last Sonoma County Cannabis Alliance meeting talking about having site visits for locations that weren't even operational yet and being charged for site visits. And the response from the gentleman who was the head of the Department of Agriculture locally was like, well, if you got a permit, you get visited. And it's like, but the guy's like, but you charged me $600 to come to a place that wasn't even operational yet. And so, and then you've got these things where they're like, oh yeah, product safety, who cares about that? Oh yeah, there's some pesticides that aren't on the list yet of banned substances. And so I don't know. It just doesn't seem very coherent to me.
Can I make it make sense for you, Yarrow?
Mm-hmm.
Anytime, please.
Okay. Well, if you pay attention to what they're overzealously enforcing and what they're under enforcing, it always comes down to the bottom line, right? They're going to over enforce shit where it's like, hey, did you pay enough taxes? Hey, we need to come give you a fucking, anal exam. So here's $600, whatever. Here's the fee for whatever we're doing. And then, hey, we're not really going to focus on this product issue because, well, shit, that's how we calculate your basis for your taxes owed every month and every quarter. So I think it just comes down to revenue. It comes down to the fact that the regulators don't have a focus on consumer safety. They have a focus on revenue generation.
Fair enough. Any thoughts on this, Jess?
Yeah, this is another example of regulation without true legalization, where there's no real science that's really solid, that's federal, and that goes across the board. You have 40 plus states who are making it up as they go along with very uneducated legislatures and senates in their own state, and they're passing laws willy-nilly and passing regulations willy-nilly, and it's just going to go on and on until we have some federal legalization, some true legalization, and scientists can really start studying this stuff and creating regulations that's based on national science that everyone agrees on.
Fair enough. And on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we're going to be right back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highat9news.com. I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that, they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi. Decisions.
All the way.
And we are back, you guys, and we are going to roll right into Mr. Jesse Barney. He's the founder of Barney Design Co. that can help elevate your brand up to the highest plateau. He loves to get high because he's up there in the great state of Washington, up in the highest point until Canada is our 51st state. That's right. It is none other than Mr. Jesse Barney.
Hello, Jason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Super high up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
90. I'm only 90 miles away from the border, man.
See what I'm saying? You're right there, bro.
It practically is Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's as cold as Canada up there.
It definitely is practically Canada. But my story comes out of MJ Biz Daily. It's kind of an interesting one. I love things about extraction debates. And more than anything, I pulled this just to see what the current Chad messaging is on extraction. So here's the headline. The cannabis extraction debate. Are solvents or solventless methods better? Extraction consumers seeking high-quality cannabis products are becoming increasingly concerned about how their extracts are made. Some methods use solvents that critics could say can leave behind residual chemicals, while proponents counter that those residuals appear in minuscule and harmless amounts. Other methods aim for maximum purity and forego solvents entirely. The global cannabis extracts market. So I'm just going to actually give a little thing here. It's about to say that the global extracts market is valued at $4.3 billion. I'm pretty sure that they mean the global legal cannabis extracts market, because if they included the hash market, which is an extract that dwarfs the global legal cannabis extracts market by 80 to 20. So they're just not even getting this close as far as understanding the real market. But according to Grandview Research, this $4.3 billion market is projected to grow at a 20% compound annual growth rate to reach $15.5 billion by 2030. To ensure sustainability and consumer trust in the extraction market, marijuana businesses must pay attention to the process. The healthiest cannabis extraction methods preserve the plant's beneficial compounds while minimizing potential health risks. While there are several extraction methods, they essentially can be put into two categories: solvent-based and solventless. Solvent-based extraction uses chemicals such as alcohol, carbon dioxide, and butane or other chemicals to dissolve trichomes, yielding high-potency extracts. The solvent is then removed through a vacuum evaporation, leaving a concentrated resin of cannabinoids and terpenes. You don't want residual hydrocarbons. Exposure to that is not safe, said Lo Friesen, founder and CEO of Seattle-headquartered Halo, a cannabis extraction and products company. People have developed post-processing steps, a solvent removal process, to make sure they're meeting the state's requirements for how much residual solvent can be in the extract or finished product. If you're doing your BHO correctly, there should be none of it in there. Efficiency is another consideration, said Michael Sassano, founder and CEO of Sumai Pharmaceuticals, a pharmaceutical manufacturer based in Portugal. Hydrocarbon is one of the most efficient extraction methods for cannabinoids and terpenes compared to other methods, Sassano said. You get higher yields, higher purity, and more abundance of terpenes. And he should have added, and you can process trash and make it worth consuming. Solvent extraction or solventless extraction. When there's solventless extraction, there's no chemicals used. Instead, solventless extraction relies on physical processes such as agitation, water, which is a solvent, heat, and pressure to separate trichomes from cannabis, resulting in a pure extract. I love this because it's just pulling things out of the lack of education. Water is a solvent. It dissolves things, so it's definitely a solvent. The process can be conducted manually or mechanically. Darwin Millard, the technical director of St. Louis-based compliance service, Cannabis Safety and Quality, said the method used to consume marijuana also determines which process should be used to extract THC from marijuana. Topicals are the lowest risk cannabis product, followed by ingestion. Millard said inhalation is the highest risk. I completely disagree with that statement. Consumer health is a layered concept, Millard said. Dabs are different from edibles. Your body does a really great job of digesting things and filtering out things that may not be good for you. The dose makes the poison. Man, the guy is just basically recommending that you can have poison left over in your cannabis depending on the method of ingestion, which is a silly take. Friesen and Millard diverge on the solvent versus solventless debate. Friesen is partial to the CO2 extraction process, noting that the chemical compounds kill yeast and mold. They call it the solventless solvent because it's so clean, she said. When you remove your extract from the equipment, there's no CO2 left in the product. Millard, on the other hand, said solventless extraction is the healthiest, and I assume he means water, making water hash. As long as the screens used for pressing are made from stainless steel rather than plastic. The industry is transitioning to stainless steel, which is great, Millard said. Nate Ferguson, co-founder and chief product officer at California-based Jetty Extracts, agrees that solventless is safer for consumption. One solventless method is a rosin press that uses heat and pressure to create rosins. It's like cold-pressed olive oil, except it's not cold-pressed. But they just keep speaking these inaccuracies, which is exactly why I pulled this up, because it just shows that the whole debate is full of inaccuracies and lack of knowledge. He also noted that it's important to use high-quality marijuana for extraction. This is absolutely true. Beyond the extraction process, Ferguson said that some delivery devices can introduce contaminants into the oil. There can be dirty or heavy metals that leach into the oil, and there are bad ceramics that have a lot of lead. Worker safety is another consideration for extraction companies, and most experts agree that solventless is the least likely to cause workplace injuries. Yeah, because you don't have something that can explode on you and blow up your entire building. Using ethanol extraction or CO2 or hydrocarbons exposes workers to the risk of explosions, but with advances in extraction equipment, it's a rare occurrence, Sassano said. But explosions still happen. In January, 2 workers were injured in an explosion and fire at PharmaCann's extraction facility in Stevensville, Maryland. Butane and propane were being used in the company's extraction process. Man, this article is just full of a ton of inaccuracies and a ton of almost fake news sort of stuff. And it's funny to see an article being put out by MJ Biz Daily that is so incomplete and has so many little things, and I'm interested to hear what everybody else has to say about what they picked up.
Well, first of all, water is a solvent, first of all. Just saying.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, exactly. So they say solventless extraction. The only true solventless extraction is to do the new static extraction, which is really cool, where they're gathering the trichomes with static.
Yeah, or you could just go back and do what they did in Morocco and drum it out, which is really cool. If you've never seen hash actually being drummed out, that's actually really
that
cool.
is really
It's
cool.
just a full mechanical extraction, which is
Yep. Yep, a true mechanical extraction like they still do in the old world.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, I love that Jason's only comment on extraction is always water is a solvent. I love that somebody told you that, Jason. And I love that. You know what I love about you, Jason? It's, jack of all trades, master of none. I love that whatever tidbits you carry forward that somebody has taught you, it's usually a good one, and you hold on to it, and that is your North Star.
100%. It's true. Water is a solvent. It's true.
Yes.
It's true. It should be everyone's North Star.
I think that this is important, like coming from the days where like I've run type 7 facilities, I run type 6 facilities. And for those of you that aren't in California, building on a type 7 is way more difficult because that is going to be a volatile extraction, right? So that means that we're using some kind of butane, something that could blow you up. And so you're going to be in the C1D1 cabinet, which is a really high barrier to entry, blah, 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 blah. Type 6 is going to be ethanol, things that aren't water hash, things that are not considered blowy uppy. So I think the important part is as we progress through this, first of all, whoever they spoke to, they should have just named this article Spider Mite Dicks or Butane, because that's the level of extraction knowledge that these guys seem to have carried forward. And I'm coming from a place where I've heated up a dab, put it on the nail, and it combusted on my nail because it was not properly purged. Those were the early days, guys, and we did not fucking know what was going on. That nail was probably also, metal. So I think that when we're looking at how far we've come, if you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to extraction, if you don't know how to read an SOP and at least act like you've been there before, please stop giving these interviews, because this guy has just really muddied the water. First of all, they've shown a complete lack of understanding for the global concentrate market. They've shown a complete lack of understanding for cannabis in general, and a complete lack of understanding for a purging process in a BHO facility. So there's a reason why we can only have so many parts per million residuals, and the goal is 0, a big fat goose egg, and that can be attained. The reason why operators will put out a either fatty or lipid-based product or lipid-filled product or something that's still showing residual signs of things is because every pass you take a loss. And every loss you take in volume is a loss in dollars and cents that's going to return back to your extraction facility. So these are unscrupulous owners, probably much like this guy who's speaking in this article, who just don't understand how to get the fucking extraction right. Call Johnny Smash. He'll fucking get you right. I don't know what to tell you guys. Either figure it out or find somebody who can, or please stop doing it. Saying that, to me, he's like, oh, the body does a really good job of filtering things out. Are you saying that I should eat an edible made with your dirty disty?
Yep,
or are you
that's what he's saying.
Me food grade?
They're trying. You know what it is?
He was also saying that it was fine to use a topical that might have some residual stuff in it. I'm like, your skin is so absorbent, dude.
If I get a rash, I'm coming for this motherfucker.
I actually think that this article was put out by the same people from your story, Jenny Beth, out in Missouri, that had all their product quarantined.
Well, their product was quarantined.
You guys, Darwin Miller is not a Dumbo. He was most likely taken out of context, and what he is saying is still scientifically true. Not that anybody should be slathering pesticides on their skin, but in terms of what gets poison into us the most efficiently and therefore needs to be at the highest quality and purity, inhalation versus digestion versus dermal absorption. Y'all are just skewering this guy, not understanding that he totally knows what he's talking about.
Obviously
and
not.
Talk to a reporter who doesn't understand what he's talking about.
Well, and that's
so you're saying it's lost in translation.
If you look at this guy's CV, I think you would put a little bit more respect on his name.
Totally fair. And there are a lot of people who have CVs, and I'm sure this guy is great. But that's the important part, especially when we're looking at something as complex as extraction. Understanding that at a high level and speaking to people who have a very deep, level of knowledge about these things. We need to be speaking in terms that they can understand. Not saying this is safe, but this is safer than this. But the bottom line is it's not necessarily misinformation, Yarrow, but it's put out in a way to a population of consumers that don't understand. They're like, all right, well, this is, that's fine. What we do with pesticides and what we do with contaminants when we concentrate them is we're concentrating them. And, cool. The blood-skin barrier may make sure it doesn't get into your bloodstream, But there's a reason why when I teach pesticide application classes for facilities, I'm explaining to them the importance of not cross-contaminating because, changing your clothes, because the first thing you do when you go home with your little kids is they run and grab dad, right? So now you contaminated your child. So there are things that you definitely do not want to put on your skin. So I think what he should have been teaching was like a clean extract is the only acceptable extract or concentrate. And that's just my 2 cents.
Well. On all of that, we are going to roll into our final commercial, and we are going to be right back because water is a solvent.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, I left one, And I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where am I even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Worse than 6 months.
Oh, congratulations.
And
we are back, you guys. Sorry, Yarrow. That was good.
I was just in my life story sharing my wins and the arrows in my back, and then all of a sudden you go public facing again.
Sorry, buddy. Sorry.
We should just have a breakout podcast of all the stuff we say when we think we're on commercial.
I'm not mad at that possibility. Not mad at that possibility.
B-sides.
No.
All right, Jenny.
Absolutely not. Coming up next, straight from the Shire, he's cathartic, maybe or maybe not Catholic. Don't get it confused. But up from under a lily pad, inside of a tree hole, comes Yarrow Kubrin, the angriest elf on the high at 9 shelf.
And the crowd goes wild. Good morning. High at 9 News viewers, thanks for bearing with me when I was off screen earlier in the show. I may be off screen, but I'm never off scream. And so I am now going to riff, rant, and rail about one of my favorite topics, the inefficiencies and bullshit of government. But today it's about the DEA. So without further ado, from Cannabis Business Times, hot off the press in the last day and a half or two, the DEA fails to set cannabis rescheduling briefing schedule, and no progress is made on an interlocutory appeal. The DEA provided its chief administrative law judge a 90-day joint status update indicating no progress towards ending the appeal. This is by Tony Lang. Despite some cannabis industry hopefuls suggesting that President Donald Trump's administration could swoop in and save the day, zero progress has been made on the rescheduling process in the past 90 days. The Drug Enforcement Administration's attorney submitted a joint status report on April 10th to Judge John Mulroney, the agency's chief administrative law judge, tasked with overseeing a fair and transparent hearing process for a proposed rule to reclassify cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 under the Controlled Substance Act. The substance of the status update was limited to fewer than 100 words, with the DEA notifying Mulroney that its acting administrator, currently Derek Maltz, has failed to set a briefing scheduling. While Trump picked agency veteran Terry Cole to be the next DEA administrator on February 11th, the U.S. Senate has yet to confirm that nomination. To date, Movent's interlocutory appeal to the acting administrator regarding their motion to reconsider remains pending with the acting administrator, the DEA attorney wrote in the April 10th update. No briefing schedules have been set. The briefing schedule is the allowing of the hearing that's designated participants to file briefs with the DEA administration in relation to the appeal that the judge had granted in January 13th. And the judge granted the rare appeal amid allegations that the DEA participated in ex parte communication with anti-rescheduling participants, communications that are prohibited under the Administrative Procedures Act. In other words, allegations that they were breaking the rules. More specifically, the judge denied a motion to reconsider the DEA's role as the proponent of the proposed rule filed by a subset of pro-rescheduling designated participants, cannabis company Village Farms International, a veterans group Hemp for Victory, and the Connecticut Office of the Cannabis Ombudsman, collectively referred to as the Movents. So, Mulroney, the judge, dismissed their request for relief in early January to strip the DEA of its status in the hearing process. He took the matter seriously enough to grant the appeal and order a stay before the hearing, initially scheduled to run from January 21st to March 6th. And anyway, it definitely delayed the process. So in doing so, he ordered the DEA to work together with these people who filed the report to file a joint status update every 90 days while the process is stayed on appeal. Well, what's happened? The DEA has done nothing. And so I think to myself, there was probably more that was accomplished discussing what might happen on LinkedIn than there was actually by the government. Like Jenny, I've always said this was a nothing burger article, and I hate to be self-aggrandizing on a Monday, but I think so far I'm not wrong, and Nothing Burger continues without a bun. This is Yarrow Kubrin, High at 9 News. I want to hear what everybody else thinks.
Oh, man, it's a keto Nothing Burger, huh? Is that what you're telling me? No carbs, huh?
Oh, I had one of those yesterday. It was a keto smash burger. It was so good. Nothing's happening.
Yeah, and that's good.
And it doesn't matter who's president, right? Like, it wasn't blue or red. Nothing is nothing is nothing. Nothing is the color of nothing, and it is both blue and red.
I think it's fantastic that nothing is happening on this. I mean, because the reality is Schedule 3 would have crushed the whole industry, and the only people that are advocating for it don't really understand the actual implications of what Schedule 3 would actually do to the industry.
Yeah.
So.
Or it behooves them because they're medical.
No, but even then, they're not going to get a DEA license.
I'm not talking about medical producers, Jason.
Yeah, Jason. I wonder how much the government, the administrative law judge, the DEA, I wonder how much this nothing has cost the American taxpayers to date.
Call Doge and ask him.
I think that's a PR wing, not an accountability tool.
That's not true at all.
I don't know.
Well, then
it's very accountability.
We'll see if there's equal metering out of accountability and attention towards waste and fraud. If there is, I won't need to point this out because they're going to figure it out themselves, right?
Oh, they are. It's and it's coming. It's coming, Yarrow. I promise you. They're working hard every day. You know what I'm saying, to save us. You know, the government spends $1 billion a day, and so we need to reduce that dramatically.
Well, how many government dollars does Elon earn in his companies as government contractor? I'm wondering.
So what you're saying is how much does Elon earn versus how much is the grant money that one of his companies received? Because those are two very different figures.
Absolutely. What I'm saying is I would not have the fox guard the hen house and have somebody whose businesses are built in no small measure on government contracts without a level of transparency and accountability telling us.
Well, we just had an earthquake.
Government contract.
We're having an earthquake right now. We just had a big earthquake. Yeah, just now.
No, that's just what happens when I drop two.
No, Yarrow. No, Yarrow. We had a real earthquake.
The Richter scale.
No, Yarrow.
The Richter scale.
You're not getting it. We just had an actual earthquake just now.
We're currently having. You look at my screen. Emergency alert. Drop cover. Protect yourself. Like
yeah.
Nobody can protect themselves from what I have to say.
I just went shaky.
It's still going, Yarrow.
There's a massive earthquake happening in San Diego right now.
Yeah, I just felt it,
and it's shaking my ass right now.
I told you I would do that.
No, Yarrow. Wow, that was a big one, Jason. That was a rolly big one. It was a boom and then a rolly.
Yeah, it was a little rolly, little shake it up, shake it up.
My vape was shaking. My everything was shaking. We were swaying.
I feel like from now on, with my Monday intro, Jenny, you got to say the elf who moves the Richter scale.
You're not big enough to do that. That was a fucking fault line.
I don't just move public opinion. I move tectonic plates.
Oh, that's funny.
I love that I screamed and Yarrow didn't even fucking pause. Like, literally, that was a big one, Jason.
I know.
I can't save you from here.
My lights were swaying back and forth. It was like this. Something was going on.
My desk was back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
That was. So you guys, we do have. I had somebody ask if we have earthquakes in Southern California, from Georgia.
I hope everyone's
the DEA
safe.
Didn't like what I had to say, so they pressed a button and started.
I love that we got. That's the first time I've gotten an emergency alert to drop.
Jenny
cover,
Beth,
hold on.
Jenny Beth, do we know what the strength was and what the epicenter was? Because Jesse said it was in San Diego.
I'll check it right now on my Quake feed.
There was a 6.0. Came out of San Diego County.
Yeah,
that's really big.
That's a big,
That's big. That's a big one.
I hope everyone is okay. In that whole San Diego area. Hope damages or infrastructure is very marginalized as far as the damage and whatnot. And
hope none of you guys fell off the cliff in Carlsbad.
So you guys Steve, the roll off of it. It was 3 minutes ago from the epicenter.
Steve Blassingham says, I was trying to type a comment and I was shaking like gangbusters. I just read the comment. It doesn't really make sense. Worse than my normal voice texting. Well, Steve, we're glad you're okay. Cause Steve is down there in San Diego. And so we're glad you're okay. I hope you and Lisa are good.
Hey man, stay safe. Sometimes these big ones, that could be the first of many. So,
yep.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, we're definitely going to have aftershocks from that 6.
Speaking of aftershocks, I mean, do we have anything else to finalize on Yarrow's story? Anybody?
I mean, I always want to bring back up that if we had gotten Matt Gaetz as the AG, this would not be a story.
That is so true.
There would be something going on.
We would have just had a descheduling.
Yeah, but instead we got Pam Bondi, who is definitely not going to be pushing for cannabis legalization. She has a terrible track record. And it was really amazing to me that the majority of the cannabis community bought the propaganda.
Yep.
And
hook, line, and sinker.
Who was accused of being a rapist, but not convicted at all. No one saying that he did this. Like, no, you know what I mean? No one calling it out that said it was done to them. Well, yeah, it just didn't happen. That was nothing.
Exactly.
It was a bunch of fake news that was used as propaganda to make sure that he didn't become the AG. And the whole cannabis community cheered on that, which is just a travesty because he would have been the biggest help.
Exactly. The cannabis industry is its own worst enemy.
Always has been.
As per usual.
People were gatekeeping.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good, Yarrow. That's good. Well, let me tell you something, man, because I told you I had a Florida story, and so since we're talking about, man, let's bring it back to Florida for our final story of the day, you guys. And man, oh man, Trulieve funnels. I think it's fantastic that they use the word funnels in this headline. Trulieve funnels $19.6 million to a renewed effort to legalize adult use marijuana. That's right. The contributions during the first 3 months of 2025 went to the Smart and Safe Florida Committee, which is gathering signatures to get a revised constitutional amendment on the 2026 ballot. The Trulieve Medical Cannabis Company contributed $19.6 million during the first 3 months of 2025 to a renewed effort to pass a constitutional amendment that would allow adult use marijuana, according to a newly filed finance report. Trulieve contributed to the money to the Smart and Safe Florida Political Committee and also provided $84,417 in in-kind contributions to the committee, the report posted on the State Division of Elections website. Other contributions to the committee from January 1st through March 31st totaled $1,420, and Trulieve made about $145 million in contributions to back adult use marijuana amendment on the 2024 ballot. The measure fell short of receiving the required 60% voter support to pass, but the committee is trying to put a revised proposal on the 2026 ballot. The committee reported spending about $19.47 million during the first 3 months of this year, much of which that money is going to the process of gathering and submitting petition signatures. As of Friday afternoon, the Division of Elections had received 150,804 valid signatures for the initiative, and according to its website, Smart and Safe Florida would need to submit 880,062 valid signatures to get on the ballot, you guys. And I think I just felt another aftershock. But nonetheless, this is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. Trulieve spending those AMs on another ballot initiative. Will this be successful this time? What do you guys have to say about this?
Well, now that DeSantis is on the ropes and can't get funny with the accounting in order to route his public service campaign, they probably see blood in the water. And they're like, let's do it a second time, because our adversary isn't going to have the capabilities that he had in the sort of shadow realm of tipping the scale against a measure 3.0.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's all possible, Yarrow. All very, very possible. I mean, I wish this article would have covered more and said, hey, you know what? These are the things that they have changed in the amendment from the last go around to this go around and whatnot.
Yeah, it wasn't policy focused.
Yeah, it wasn't policy focused. But we're gonna find some stuff, and we're gonna continue to cover this as it develops.
I wish that Florida wasn't such a limited license market, is what I wish.
You say that until you have a license.
Sure. You're right. You're absolutely right. If you got a license and you're selling it for $5 million, which is the last thing I saw. Within the last month, something being offered at. Yeah, you're right. That's a very lucrative entitlement.
Yep. Exactly. What do you got to say, Jenny Beth? Are they going to get adult use in Florida?
Not today.
Not today. I mean, I think they need to have if they want to get it done, they need to run a companion initiative along this initiative that allows for home grow. I think that's the only way that they're going to be able to meet that 60% threshold with any type of legislation that they try to push through to get this passed. What's that, Yarrow? You're on mute, buddy. Oh no, Yarrow just dropped. Oh, Yarrow had to go.
Bye.
Oh, he said bye. Oh, he's got. Well. Jesse, any thoughts on this?
Doesn't Trulieve play both sides? Don't they have money
Typically
on the hemp side as well? So they're kind of like, this is a bet on the cannabis market, but if it fails, they got the hemp.
Well, that's interesting that you say that, because they are also one of the big backers in all of these initiatives to like SB3 in Texas and whatnot, which would ban the sale of other cannabinoid products that aren't coming from the regulated market. And so I'd say they play all three sides of the fence. In essence,
playing all the sides of the fence so that they win no matter what.
Well, and that's the thing about when you have enough money to hedge your bets, you do win no matter what. You know what I mean? You're the guy in the raffle that bought $1,500 worth of tickets when somebody else is coming up asking for their like $10 free ticket, like one ticket. You know, so your odds of winning are a lot higher.
All it takes is one to win, though.
Well,
just saying.
Well,
I don't know. You have any final thoughts on this, Jenny?
Okay. Fuck Trulieve.
All right. Fair enough. You don't like the buy weed from women, huh?
Yeah, I definitely buy weed from women, but not from Kim Rivers.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Aim High Hemp Distribution and Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on over here. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. And thank you to Cloud Media Partners Anthony out there in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.